What's happening, tabletop gamers? My name is LeunameGames and welcome back to LeunameGames Unboxes. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Horrified by Prospero Hall and published by Revensberger. Let's go ahead and have a look at the backs here and see what this is about. The village is under attack. Dracula, the mummy, Frankenstein's monster, his bride, and more are on the rampage, and your team of heroes must defeat them. And players can adjust the difficulty by playing against a new group of adversaries every game. Overcome them all before the horror overwhelms you. So a cooperative game based on probably the most well-known creatures we've ever known in folklore. But I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It could be good. I like a couple of these creatures. So with all that said, let's have a look and see what does Horrified have to offer us. The game comes with a board to represent the village that the players are going to be running around trying to grab items to go to places in order to try and save the town from the monsters. At the top of the board, there is a track here. This is the terror track, and it's represented by this little standee right here. You place it there, and that's what you use to keep track of the level of terror that's in the town. The game comes with 6 different monsters that you can play against. You have Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein and the Bride, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Wolfman, and the Invisible Man. On the back of all of these is actually the setup for all of the monsters that are in the game, which is interesting. But also, on the front of these, there are some things that you need to know. There is basically an effect that happens with each of the different monsters if this certain die result is rolled. There's also a certain set of conditions that you need to complete in order to defeat that monster. You have to do the first one and then the second one, and each of these are different depending on the monster that you play. Each of the monsters has a number that's listed right here under a flame. They call that the frenzy number. I believe that's how they determine which ones act when. And that's represented by this little standee right here. There's also a whole bunch of tokens that are very specific to each monster. For example, if you're playing against Dracula, you have these 4 various coffins that you'll need to destroy in order to get rid of him. The Mummy has 6 scarabs, as well as this soul sign. I'm not sure what that's used for, but he has it, as well as a overlay. There's a couple monsters that are in this game that have overlay tiles, and you basically take those and you place them. Where's the museum here? Let's see here. Where is it at? Ah, right here. So, and you basically take those and you place them over the various locations. This is just to help as a reminder of what you need to do and where to go. For Frankenstein and the Bride, they have these 2 little dials, and they have the various symbols on them to represent Frankenstein and the Bride. For the Black Lagoon, you have a nice little ship standee, and I must say the standees right now, they're nice and thick, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about accidentally bending them. It also comes with a camp overlay, so you just place that over the camp, and that's a nice healthy reminder of what to do. For the Wolfman, there is what they call the Haunted Emblem, and it says it on the back here, so you know. I'm not sure what that's supposed to do. It comes with a cure bottle, and it comes with an overlay for the laboratory. And then for the Invisible Man, it just comes with an overlay for the precinct. And since this is a game about monsters, there are the monsters themselves. There are 7 different minis that come with the game. Each one represents one of these 7 different monsters that you will be playing against. And these monsters are going to be moving around on the various spots on the board, trying to basically cause terror. And I gotta say, these models are actually really well done. Very nicely detailed, very easy to tell them apart, even if you're colorblind. The poses that they went for with the various models match really well with what the cards look like, so you shouldn't have any difficulty telling which one is which. There are 7 heroes that come with the game, each of which has a starting location on the bottom here, what they are, a special action that they have, and how many actions they will have per turn. There's the Explorer, the Courier, the Professor, the Archaeologist, the Science, and the Mayor. And each of these, I can say with confidence, very easily to tell apart. And I like the fact that they are all the same shape. They're badges anyway. But you don't need to worry about not being able to tell them apart. They're easy to read, which is very, very nice. And the text on the badges are easy to see as well. And of course, since there are the hero badges, there are also the matching standees that come with each of the different heroes. Each of them actually has their own colored base in an attempt to not confuse them with each other, because they do look very similar when they're out on the board like this. The variations of these standees is very minor, I will say. And also, if you are colorblind, you may have some difficulty telling the standees apart from one another, because like I said, the variations of these standees are very, very minor. I mean, look at that. That's going to be really difficult to tell who is who with a single glance. There are also a bunch of villager standees. Each of these you don't play as in the game. These are basically just people you are essentially trying to protect, as far as I know. And each of them has a name on them, a little picture, and where they go when you put them on the board. And now, thankfully, these ones, you don't really need to know too much who is who, because like I said, these aren't really people you're playing as. These are people that you're basically just trying to protect. So thankfully, it doesn't really matter that much that they all really look the same apart from their picture, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to keep them alive. There are entire stacks of various items that are included in the game, and these items are supposed to be collected by the players that will hopefully be able to help you defeat these monsters. The items are double-sided, and so that if you ever accidentally flip these over, you don't need to worry too much about it. And also, they are nice, thick tiles, so you don't need to worry about accidentally bending them. There is also a cloth bag that is included with the game. A very nice cloth bag, I must say. And these tiles are actually supposed to go in the bag, and they're supposed to be drawn out at random and placed on the board at certain points. There are 3 dice included with the game. The dice are nice ingrained, which is very nice. That means they're going to last a lot longer. There are 2 blank sides. There are 3, I'm assuming those represent a hit or something. And then there is an exclamation point, which, if you may remember, you roll that, and at least I'm assuming, that's going to trigger the event on the monsters themselves. Yeah, I got 3 hits. There is a deck of event cards that are included in the game. These are represented by feet, and on these, there are a couple things you'll need to note. There is a number up here. This represents how many items you draw out of the bag. Then there's an event that will trigger when you play it. And then there's this down here, and this represents what monsters, if they're included in the game, are going to be moving and attacking for that turn. And I can say with confidence, since the symbology is pretty easy to see, as well as the text on the card. Then there is a deck of perk cards marked by black hands, and these basically represents special things that players can do on their turn. Whether it's move each hero up to 2 spaces, or a good portion of these will actually give you an option of doing one thing or the other. And I can say here also, the text on each of these cards, very easy to see. The artwork on the cards is pretty nice. It's pretty good looking. Even though the artwork really does nothing in the game, it really just matters what the text is, and thankfully the text is easy to read. And then finally there are these reference cards, and these basically give you a summary of what the different things you can do on your turn, and then the things that happen during a monster phase, when the game gets their turn to try to destroy you. Luckily, the text on both sides of these cards, very easy to see, easy to tell the differences between the various steps, which is nice, so you're not going to have to worry about confusing one step for the other. So that is everything you will get if you obtain Horrified. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to learn how to play Horrified, or if you want to know my thoughts on it, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more tutorials, reviews, and unboxings. Thank you all as always so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.